The following Acushnet Company sites have achieved star status in OSHA's Voluntary Protection Program. These Acushnet Company VPP star sites are among the best in the nation for excellence in occupational safety and health. Welcome to Acushnet Company. This program reviews safety requirements for our outside contractors in order to comply with the company's health and safety policies and OSHA regulations that promote a safe working environment. For the purpose of this program, the term contractor will be used to refer to outside contractors hired by the company. Contractors must adhere to the following safety requirements when performing work at any Acushnet Company facility. Each outside contractor must be approved and be trained in all aspects of the company's safety and environmental programs. The Acushnet Company associate who has contracted the job is referred to as the project leader and is responsible for ensuring the contractor has met all program requirements. All contractors must sign in at the guard's desk and will be provided an Acushnet Company temporary ID. All contractors must review the job scope with the project leader prior to starting the work. An Acushnet Company contractor sign-off form must be filled out, and all contractor employees must sign and date the form. Contractor employees who have not seen the safety video must do so. The Acushnet Company contractor's safety video must be viewed biannually by all contractor employees. The Acushnet Company contractor database tracks this requirement. Contractors are expected to have their own equipment necessary to complete the work they are contracted to perform. Acushnet Company requires the project leader to complete and submit a contractor authorization to use Acushnet Company equipment form if a contractor requests to use Acushnet Company equipment. The form will be submitted to the plant manager, and approval must be received prior to loaning the equipment to the contractor. Please speak with your project leader to submit the proper requests and obtain approvals. In accordance with the operation of a manufacturing facility, there are several general safety rules that apply to all associates and contractors. Smoking is prohibited on company property. Eating is allowed in designated areas only. All facilities have cafeterias or other designated eating areas. Cell phone use is not allowed while working around equipment. If you need to use your cell phone, do not engage in any work activities while on the phone. The taking of photographs or digital pictures, including with a cell phone, is strictly prohibited without prior Acushnet Company management authorization. If you have any questions, contact your project leader. The company has a drug-free workplace policy and alcohol policy to ensure that we have a safe, healthful, and productive work environment. Prohibitive conduct under these policies includes possessing, distributing, selling, or being under the influence of illicit drugs or alcohol on company property. Each contractor must keep the work area clean and uncluttered in order to maintain access and prevent accidents and fires. Put all scrap, trash, and other waste into proper containers. Make sure all floors are free of grease, oil, or any material that could cause a slip or fall, or create a fire or health hazard. And never block an aisle to an exit. Good housekeeping is expected throughout the course of performing the job. Waiting until the end of the day to clean up the job site is not acceptable. All accidents and injuries, regardless of how minor, must be reported. The security guard must be contacted immediately following an incident. The security guard will then initiate the appropriate emergency response needed. A first aid support team, or FAST team, is available on all shifts for immediate medical assistance. All accidents and injuries will be investigated by the contractor supervisor and the Acushnet project leader, who will complete an incident investigation report. In advance of bringing any chemicals onto Acushnet Company premises, the contractor must provide the project leader a current materials safety data sheet, or MSDS. Additionally, the hazards identified in the MSDSs for chemicals in use at the company's facility will be reviewed with the contractor, as required by the area where work will be completed. Any contractor who may have a chemical sensitivity should inform the project leader, who will review chemicals in the areas you are working. Key chemical exposures in our facility include, but are not restricted to, the paint spray area and the mix mill area. Isocyanates and flammable liquids are located in the paint mix, paint spraying, and drying rooms of the golf ball manufacturing facilities. Zinc diacrylate powder, which is ignitable in certain concentrations, is located in the compounding and mixing areas of each ball plant. Several areas in the manufacturing facilities have processes using a significant amount of flammable liquids or flammable powders. These areas are considered hazardous and have electrical classifications that are different than non-hazardous areas. Electric hand tools and spark-producing tools are prohibited unless special precautions are taken. You must have a hot work permit prior to performing any work in these areas. The hot work permit will identify all special precautions to be taken. Your project leader will inform you if you are working in a hazardous area. The contractor must follow the lockout-tagout procedures as provided by the project leader. This safety requirement protects workers from hazards associated with the accidental activation or release of stored energy from machines or equipment being serviced or maintained. These procedures are applicable to all energy sources, including electrical, pneumatic, hydraulic, chemical, and thermal. Lockout-tagout requires each contractor to place their lock and tag on each energy source. Each individual contractor employee is the only key holder to their padlocks. The contractor employee who placed the lock on the energy source is the only person authorized to remove the lock. The contractor must notify the appropriate personnel that a lockout-tagout procedure is being performed on their machine or equipment. Contractors must comply with all aspects of the Acushnet Company electrical safety policy, which meets the requirements of NFPA 70E. Any contractor performing work on or near exposed energized electrical conductors, including troubleshooting, must be qualified. A contractor's sign-off form must be provided stating which employees are qualified under NFPA 70E. All electrical panels are labeled with the required PPE that must be worn when opening the panel. Barricades must be established around work areas where exposed electrical conductors are not de-energized. An energized work permit signed by the plant manager must be completed prior to work on or near exposed energized electrical conductors beyond troubleshooting. Only licensed electricians may work on facility wiring 50 volts or higher. Hot work permits are required in areas classified as hazardous locations per NFPA guidelines. Your project leader will inform you if you are working in these areas. The contractor is responsible for supplying all appropriate personal protective equipment and ensuring that it is worn where required throughout the facility. Hard hats and foot protection must be worn in all construction areas. All contractors shall wear the personal protective equipment required by the hazard at all times. Such equipment may include eye protection, specifically safety glasses with side shields, hearing protection, such as earplugs or headphones, gloves, protective sleeves, face shields, welding helmets, and special clothing. Please direct any questions regarding the use of personal protective equipment to the project leader. Safety showers, eye wash stations, fire extinguishers, and pull alarm boxes are located throughout the facility. All are marked with signage, and some are taped off on the floor. Access to this equipment must be maintained at all times. Your project leader will show their nearest location to the job site. All emergency exits and means of egress are marked. Exit maps are located throughout the facility. If you see a fire, the contractor should activate the nearest fire pull station and then proceed to exit the building. If at any time you hear or see an alarm, Contractors must exit the building immediately. Once outside the building, go to the closest muster point and swipe your badge issued at the front gate. This indicates that you have safely exited the building. Report to the Acushnet employee at the muster point if you can provide details of how and where the fire started. Any contractor whose task requires being on a walking or working surface with an unprotected side or edge, which is 4 feet or more above a lower level, must provide the appropriate fall protection equipment. This can be accomplished by use of guardrail systems, safety nets, or personal fall arrest systems. Any contractor working on the roof should be aware of all safety precautions concerning roof work. If it is not already marked, cones must be used to delineate 10 feet from the roof edge. If the contractor is working within 10 feet of the edge of the roof, a full body harness arrest system must be worn and properly tied off. If a guardrail system is not in place and workers could stray inside the 10-foot area, a person must act solely as a roof monitor to check activity and prevent workers from wandering into this area without full body harness secured to anchor points. All ladders used on company premises must be in good working order. Contractors must supply their own ladders for the job or fill out the Acushnet Company authorization form. No contractor is to stand either on top of a ladder or on the last step as typically posted on all ladders. When using outside ladders, the contractor must be 1 foot away from a wall for every 4 feet of height. Contractors must tie off or otherwise secure all extension ladders in use. Hard hats must be worn at all times when working from a scissors lift or other type of elevated mobile work platform. Workers are prohibited from climbing on the scissor lift guardrails. Workers are prohibited from tying off personal fall arrest systems to the scissor lift guardrail. Personal fall arrest systems must be tied off to approved anchor points. Full body harnesses are required to be worn and secured at all times for any elevated mobile working platform that telescopes out. In other words, any platform that can rise vertically and telescope out horizontally, for example, cherry pickers, requires a full body harness. For overhead work, where there is pedestrian traffic or employee workstations, the area needs to be barricaded by the contractor. This means the contractor must use sawhorses, cones, caution tape, or a worker acting solely as a monitor to prevent employees from walking or working near the area where overhead work is being performed. Contractors working in an excavation shall protect against a cave-in hazard by providing adequate protective systems, typically shoring and sloping. Please note, as specified by Dig Safe guidelines, anytime ground is broken, even when just scraping the ground, an excavation permit is required. The contractor is responsible for providing all permits required by the city or state. If the contractor has their own permit for excavation, confined space entry, electrical work, welding, burning, or other activity, the project leader must examine the permits and ensure the permits meet Acushnet Company standards. The Acushnet Company project leader must approve and sign off on all permits. Several areas have permit requirements if you are doing any work in the area. It is important to note that all permits must be completed before any work is started involving excavation, confined space entry, electrical work, welding, or burning. All compressed gas cylinders must be secured by substantial means at all times. Cylinders not in use must be secured and have bung caps screwed on properly. All contractors are required to comply with all local, state, and federal safety regulations. Contractor management is expected to inspect work sites and enforce the appropriate safety practices of their employees. This video program has reviewed the safety requirements for outside contractors in order to comply with the health and safety policies of the Acushnet Company and OSHA regulations. These safety procedures are promoted so that outside contractor personnel as well as company employees feel safe working at our facility. If you have any questions regarding the procedures detailed, required safety equipment, or permits, please discuss those matters with your project leader. Thank you for your attention, and as always, safety first.